At the time, did either one of you know anything about app development?
Absolutely not.
Really?
That's the best part about entrepreneurship is every week's different. You learn so many new skills every single week. You meet so many great individuals like yourself, and you just learn and grow. And that's why my life philosophy is be curious, not judgmental, because I want to be constantly learn and grow and synergize with people, because that's what life's all about. So no, I knew nothing about it, but I've learned a lot in a short amount of time.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Side Hustle Hero, the show that inspires action and helps you to grow your side hustle into a thriving income stream. I'm your host, Joan Posivy. Have a side hustle idea, but no clue where to start? You're not alone. When Walker Ferguson and his co-founder came up with the idea for a personalized meditation app, they had zero experience in app development. But that didn't stop them. They figured it out as they went, found the right people, and got their app live in the App Store. His story proves that starting with no experience isn't a deal breaker. This is part 2 of my conversation with Walker. In our last episode, he shared his tips and strategies for getting it all done, how he balances college, football, and entrepreneurship. Today, we're diving into how he built an app from scratch and how the same principles apply and are key to starting any business. Walker shares how they took that first step with no technical background, why building the right relationships was crucial to turning their idea into reality, and why it matters for your business, what it actually costs to develop the app, and why waiting until you know everything is the worst mistake you can make. If you've ever had an idea but felt stuck on where to start, may this episode be your inspiration and guide. Now here's my conversation with full-time college student, Division I football player, and co-founder of the Ascend meditation app, Walker Ferguson. Well, you developed a meditation app, but it's unique. Tell us about the customization a user can trigger.
Yeah, so I'll give you the whole rundown. So essentially, I came into Wake Forest in 2021. My freshman year roommate was Hampton Tanner. So it was just one of those relationships. We hit it off right away, right? Beautiful synergy. Like, moms are both realtors. Dads both came from farming families in the middle of nowhere. His in Georgia, mine in Virginia. And we would just stay up literally all night bouncing ideas off each other. Do we want to do a brewery? Do we want to do a restaurant? Like, all this stuff, right? Nothing hit. Sophomore year comes around, and that was the lowest point in both of our lives, right? That was when we, in our life, had hit rock bottom. We weren't playing football. We weren't traveling. Weren't getting good grades. Things on the home front weren't great. Like, everything in our life just wasn't going right?
For
and
both
that was
of you.
because for both of us at the same time, which was the blessing.
Yeah.
And it's because we had put our identity into football, and we weren't that man, we weren't that person anymore, because there was other people better than us and we weren't playing. So that ego, that ultra identity was gone. So that was the first time that we really learned the power of the breath, how to meditate. We either lived in the past depression or the future anxiety. So like I said, I'm a Christian guy, so I would read scripture. I'd meditate on scripture, and I learned how to breathe the first time. And I had this this sense of gratitude that just flowed through me. And I just felt amazing for the first time in my life.
How did you stumble on the power of breathing, of breath?
Yes. So I stumbled on that actually through Hampton. So Hampton really got big into stoicism. He read the book Meditations, body scans. He really got big into meditating. And I was like, I don't know about that. I'm a football player.
All right.
But he kind of talked me into it. And I sat down with him. I remember we sat in silence for 30 minutes one time and just really focused on the breath. And every time we had a thought kind of arise, we focused back on the breath, rise and fall the chest, right? And after those 30 minutes, I just felt so at peace. And that's when I was like, wow, I really, there's power in this. So that's when I really started meditating. That being said, we had a free subscription to Calm through our athletic department. I loved how it gave base meditations, base sleep stories, as well as Nobody Beats a Matthew McConaughey or an Adam Sklar voice. But nothing felt individual for the user for what I was going through in that time, to not only help me de-stress, but 2, to visualize my goals, to see myself succeeding in whatever aspect of the life it may be, because our app is tailored to high performers. So from there, Hampton transfers to Georgetown. So this is junior year, 2024. And he tells me, he's like, dude, I know what we're going to do. I said, what? He's like, we're going to create a meditation app that uses artificial intelligence the right way to give people personalized meditations, sleep stories, and then what we later developed meditation plans to help you achieve a goal, right? So from there, we knew we had the idea. We knew what we wanted to do because it was something that meant something to us. And we were really passionate about.
Yeah.
So from there, we wrote out a business plan. We literally wrote out what we were going to do. And then, like I said, life's all about relationships. I had a class at Wake Forest, a military leadership class, and I got connected with the former CEO of a legacy credit union, Miss Pace, connected me with Stan and Mike Bukovich. And from there, they really helped us every step of the way, get a provisional patent, trademark logos, like how to scale, right? And they mentored us throughout the entire process because we had no idea what we were doing, but we had a guidance. And they also allowed us to come in after graduation to their startup accelerator to help grow and scale Ascend. So from there, we had a really good mentorship from people that knew they worked with startups, right? They helped small startups scale.
Okay.
So they were helping us every step of the way, meeting with us. And I was in New York at the time. Hampton was in Georgetown. And Colin and Gordon, our two developers that we found, like I said, Life's all about relationships. Crazy story how we met them. But they were building the MVP while we were doing the business facing things, right?
They were building the what?
The minimal viable product.
Oh, yeah.
MVP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, and then we got on the App Store in September and it's been going ever since. But essentially, to answer your question, because I know I just gave you the whole rundown, but the way the app works is essentially you fill out a personalization quiz at the beginning, right? So you just give us your name, date of birth, like just some basic information. And then you tell us your meditation experience. Are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Are you advanced? From there, what meditation resonates the most with you? Is it body scans? Is it visualization, imagery, whatever it is, right? From there, you select your goals. Is it improve focus? Is this cultivate a sense of gratitude, reduce stress, whatever it may be? So after you fill out that survey, you're prompted to a big blue button that says create meditation.
Okay.
And from there, you hit that big blue button and you can type in literally anything that's going on, right? Like I could type in, I'm about to go on the Side Hustle Hero podcast, a little bit nervous. Could you give me a meditation to help me speak smoothly and clearly and perform on my best? After that, I select a voice, a background, and a link for that meditation. And it spits it out on the spot within 5 to 10 seconds. So you can have that personalized meditation, right?
Wow.
And that quiz you took at the beginning,
yes.
And if you don't have anything on the top of your mind, we give you prompts and suggestions. But that's essentially the big differentiator from the Calm, from the Headspace, from the Insight Timer, because they're specialized on the spot meditations for what you are going through.
Right. Wow. And I can even choose that voice, male, female, certain accent, calming,
Yes,
empowering, whatever, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you come up with the idea for the app?
So I actually can't take credit whatsoever for it. Hampton came up with the idea.
Yeah.
Hampton came up with it, and we have a constant joke. He's vision, I'm action. He has this screensaver on his phone that says vision plus action equals change. And he sends it to me all the time. He's your action, dude. You get things done. And he's like, I come up with ideas. So
actually, you know what, Walker, that is the perfect combination. You need the big picture person and then somebody like yourself to grab hold of that idea. And then the two of you start running towards it. Very cool.
I'm a process guy. I'm always like, how do we get there? We got to do this first. But yeah.
At the time, did either one of you know anything about app development?
Absolutely not.
Really?
That's the best part about entrepreneurship is every week's different. You learn so many new skills every single week. You meet so many great individuals like yourself. You just learn and grow. And that's why my life philosophy is be curious, not judgmental, because I want to be constantly learn and grow and synergize with people because that's what life's all about. So no, I knew nothing about it, but I've learned a lot in a short amount of time.
Well, that's such a huge teaching point, Walker, because often people say, I would love to do this, but I can't because I don't know how, or I've never done it before. I don't know anybody that's built an app before. But clearly what you and Hampton did was say, we're going to do this. And then it's, okay, how are we going to do it? And then you connected with that incubator was like a startup program?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what were your first steps to actually start building it?
Yeah.
Finding those developers or mapping it out? What was the first step?
Yeah. So the first step for us was we got a vision board. So we wrote down exactly what we wanted, what the features were going to be, how we wanted the app to look. From there, we wrote up a business plan, essentially how we're going to monetize it, how we're going to make money, how we're going to get it out to people. So after that, this is why God's so good in life is really all about relationships, because Hampton and I took a Spanish class at Wake Forest, and we both sucked at Spanish. I'm so serious. Could not speak, no hablas español, and he transferred to Georgetown. His credits didn't transfer. So he's in Spanish class, and Colin, who ended up being our CTO, he was 29 years old, came back to school to get his comm sci degree. Super smart kid. Hampton and him sat next to each other because they were just like the old looking dudes in the class, and the rest of it was all freshmen.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they formulated a beautiful relationship. And Hampton told him about the idea. And at the time, Colin said, I have a internship lined up and I'm going to be making a lot of money this summer. She's like, I can't do it. I love the idea. I wish you the best of luck. 1 week later, he comes back and he says, dude, I've really been thinking about this. And this is something I really want to do. This is something that's meaningful to me and I think can change the world. So from there, we had a guy that was an absolute beast at development. And he was
Really?
also the head of the computer science club at Georgetown. So he grabbed the next best student. So the two top students at Georgetown were building the MVP this summer. So we got a bone thrown to us for that. And
Like
so
you couldn't have planned for that when the two of you first hatched this idea.
that's why you got to go for it.
Yeah.
You can only plan for so much. That's why it's so important for me to begin with the end in mind and understand where you're going, because you don't know all the steps on how to get there.
Mhm.
But you have to know where you're going and trust that the right steps will fall into place for you to go. And when an opportunity presents itself, to make sure to act quick and maximize that opportunity. Because I'm a firm believer too. It's like I would rather make 3 mistakes, truthfully, and get it right the 4th time by the time someone else even starts. And I'll always live that way with a sense of urgency. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
That's so wise. So were you paying Colin and his next top student in class? Or were they doing
Yeah. So what we did is we rounded up enough money to pay them, nothing like crazy, but just
Yeah.
enough where they can support themselves. And then they got equity as well. So it was like a mix between pay and equity. So then that way they were really incentivized to help grow this thing, to help it scale so they could get their ROI, as well as they were still making a little bit of money over the summer to be able to support themselves.
Right. Sounds like a nice blend.
Exactly. And then it saved us a lot of time because we didn't have to fundraise a stupid amount of money with just an idea and a pitch deck with no proof of concept. So
Was there tons of back and forth, or could they basically take your vision board or storyboard?
oh, they took it. They ran
Yeah.
with it. It was unbelievable. Colin is just one of those dudes that is just a blessing. So truthfully, like,
Wow.
you know, those like people that, can just figure things out. Like when you don't have someone else higher up to ask, like, hey, boss, how do I get this done? He's that guy. I'll figure it out. I'll do the research. So
Yeah.
he's unbelievable.
Yeah. We used to call that a MacGyver.
Yeah. I
Right.
like it. Got
Yeah.
her.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in turning Ascend from an idea on a piece of paper into a real app?
I think the biggest challenge early on is just the mindset. Other than obviously there's logistical things. Getting a provisional patent was hard. Like
Yeah.
the development was hard. There's a lot of bugs. Like those are like hard problems, not like obstacles to overcome.
Yeah.
I actually don't believe in the word problem. I believe in the word obstacle because you're going to overcome it. But the biggest obstacle is developing that mindset, right? Conquering the inner before you can translate that to the outer, because whatever you conquer in like your inner world and your inner mindset, that's what
Yes.
translates into your outer, right? Into what happens, right? So being able to have this constant sense of positivity, even when you're not seeing the steps right away that
Yes.
you kind of anticipated, to understand that I've already achieved this. I see it. I know how it's going to happen in my head. And now it's a matter of it playing out. So the biggest thing I'd say for all of us was just constantly reaffirming one another, grabbing this positivity and this cultivation of like, we are going to make it. We know where we're going.
Right.
Because once you develop the inner, the outer
Yeah.
takes care of itself.
Yeah. I've often said our external results are just a mirror reflection of our internal reality. If we want to change the
I love
outer,
it.
we've got to change the inner.
I love it.
But from what I understand, you did not always think this way. You weren't
Not at all.
always this positive, energetic, going for it kind of guy.
That's correct. Growing up, I didn't have really any obstacles in my life. I grew up in both my parents, mom and dad love each other, lived in the same house my whole life, went to church every Sunday. It was always smooth sailing until I got to college. And my identity had always been in football. That kind of got taken away from me. And I didn't know who I was. Everything kind of started spiraling around me and I was just lost. And from there, I realized I had an absolute complete ego death, where I realized everything that I kind of had believed about myself was kind of like a bunch of bullshit, for real, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And from there, that's kind of when I was at my lowest point. And when I truly became Christian, kind of revitalized my mindset and realized that I have one life. Every day I'm going to wake up and honor and glorify the Lord with my talents and have this positive sense of positivity around me. So it was definitely hitting those low points and going through the things. And a lot of
Yes.
things I did that year, I wasn't very proud of. And I regret a lot of I needed to go through them, so I don't necessarily
Right.
regret it. But there's a lot of things I wish I could change that I did
Yeah.
sophomore year. But understanding and going through what I went through to develop, to basically have the setback before the major comeback to become who I am now is huge. So that sophomore year was a big changing point for me to develop this mindset, this constant sense of positivity.
Because that was around the time that you connected with Hampton and you guys took a look at this app, and
It was all
so
planned.
all
God's plan.
all this blossomed out of that. So for someone who, and thank you for sharing that, because we're all dealing with stuff, and then to be able to see a better path, a larger picture for ourselves is such a gift. For someone who wants to start an app and is in that position of, I've got this idea, I want to do it, but I really don't have a clue. Maybe give us an idea of what are some of the costs involved.
It depends on what route you want to take. So if you want to outsource it and have a company build it, I would say you need around 150 to 200K to really get it up and running, to get like a good app. If you just want like an MVP and just get something up and running, I'd say somewhere between 80 and 100. And that's factoring in because developers aren't cheap. There's a lot of also costs that go into the software, depending on what you're using with the mobile application. And then also if you have an idea that you want and you want to protect, provisional patent's going to be around 10,000. And a year later, you got to file a utility patent. It's like 20,000. Trademarking logos is a couple $1,000, depending on how many logos you trademark. It's around $500 a logo. So that's kind of like a ballpark. I would say that, there's definitely ways around it, finding the right people and then doing a mix of salary between equity and base pay. And then that way you could get it down to much more manageable for people to really get it up and running. But if you really wanted to go all in, keep all of your equity, unless you had a home run, you're gonna be spending some money.
Right. And how long was that development time from the time that the two of you mapped it out in a storyboard to the time where it was live, at least its first iteration?
So the storyboard was February of 2024, and we had our beta testing done, and we had the app up and running in September, not on the App Store, but beta testing. Development didn't start till May. So May to September. So the guys really grinded all summer and had it built. So they're unbelievable. Seriously. Wow. Yeah, they're great. And it will be interesting to see once we fundraise how fast this 2.0 rebuild comes out. I'm excited about that one. So.
Okay. So what's up and running now is essentially what came out in September?
Essentially, but we hired a UI UX designer to design the user flow and make the app more accessible for users so they can navigate it better. So it's a little bit different. Also fixed a lot of bugs, added push notifications, that sort of thing. But as of right now, what we have is an MVP. And the 2.0 is going to look a lot different. And it's going to have the animation. It's going to be a lot more of the calm level of an app.
Got it. Okay. You mentioned funding. You're looking at sort of an initial round of funding now to take it to the next step?
That's correct.
Can you speak to that?
For sure. I think a lot of it's just me and Hampton right now, like putting together pitch decks. We have a lot of other monetization strategies. Right now we're targeting universities. So essentially with a university, they pay us a bulk price for the package and we give the app for free to all their student athletes, right? So that's a really good growth strategy. We can do that at the high school level as well as the university level.
Yeah.
Talking with a couple high schools and a couple universities at the moment. So investors are liking that. But it's truthfully all about relationships, right? And the amount of podcasts that I've been going on, the amount of people I've been networking with on LinkedIn, because it's really all about outreach. And that's why it's amazing that you're doing a podcast, because you're meeting so many great people, truthfully. And that's what life's all about. So we actually had already met a couple of potential investors from literally doing this, right? Mm-hmm. From literally just hopping on podcasts and networking with individuals, not even knowing it, that said, when you're at that point, please contact us. This is something we'd be interested in.
Yes.
So what do? We put together the pitch deck real quick. We've got our business plan, all our financials in order, projected revenues, and we send it all to them. And now we're talking to them. So that's kind of where we're at. But regarding like specific numbers and all of that, it's a fair amount. I don't really want to go into it too much in depth on the call, but
sure. Okay. But you're probably looking in the seven figures.
Yes.
So after it's developed and there's going to be reiterations, future versions of it, what are the ongoing costs?
Yeah. So the ongoing costs are essentially just, it costs money when a user uses the app. So each meditation costs X amount of cents for when they create it. So that's just a constant recurring cost from the Microsoft Azure, as well as the AI that we're using until we can implement our own AI chatbot. So once we do that, then we won't have that cost anymore, but that will be a big upfront cost to build that because that's going to be super expensive. But so that, and then a lot of the monthly stuff we have going on, right? And we have so many subscriptions from like Adobe to Canva, you name it. A lot of small stuff right now. But as we continue to grow, I'm sure it's inevitable. More things will pop up.
Sure. Stuff that you don't even realize yet, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
More obstacles, right? No. And a lot of
Exactly.
wins. And a lot of wins.
Yeah.
For someone listening who wants to build an app but has no tech experience, what's your advice?
Become a great networker. Become a good person.
Yeah.
Network with as many people as you can. And truthfully, what I would do if I was in my shoes today is I would do a lot of research. I would go on ChatGPT and I would be asking it a lot of questions. I would create Boolean strings for LinkedIn. It's essentially it's like a targeted search to find somebody on LinkedIn.
Right.
So essentially what I would do is I would go on Google and find out what universities have the best computer science programs, right? That produce the best developers that work for the Amazons, the Googles, the Microsoft, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
From there, what I would do is I would go to their alumni page, LinkedIn alumni page. I would put in a Boolean string, which I would put in some keywords like computer science, back-end development, whatever the words are, right? Make it as targeted as possible. I would hit search. I would just make it as narrow as I possibly could. I would change the date back to 2020. So I would get people that are graduated, unless I was targeting students. Then I would make it 2020 to 2025. So I'm only targeting students. From there, I would get it down to around 50 people. And I would look at their profiles, go through it, look at their past experience, see what they're interested in, not spend more than 30 minutes on it, connect with the ones that, have potential that you think would align with your vision. And then I would send them a LinkedIn message and get them on the phone. And then the rest is history.
Right. And you're doing all that within the LinkedIn app?
100%. Yeah, LinkedIn's a powerful tool. You can network with a lot of very great individuals on that.
What's a key tip that you've learned about networking to develop that rapport with someone?
Do it.
Yeah. Practice.
The worst thing somebody can say is no, right? No. If you don't have the conversation, someone automatic no, so have the conversation. I think so many people in life don't want to have that conversation because like, oh, this could go wrong. This could go poorly. I don't want to meet this person because they're not going to believe what I'm doing. That's the way it is. Like not everyone's going to hop on board and believe in your vision, but the more people you talk to, it's like a volume, right? It's the compound effect. The more you get out, the more people are going to help you out. So
right.
I would just live by that philosophy of be curious, not judgmental, and just have as many conversations as you can and just be authentic, be genuine, because people understand and can read right through you if you're just trying to use them. But, really just have a genuine conversation, hear their story. A story is a very powerful thing.
Yes.
Introduce yourself, give your story, give their story, and then find ways that you guys have similarities and how you can synergize them and go from there. But I would just say do it.
Your app and the idea behind it is great. So you're coming from that place of, being genuine.
Yeah.
How did you start getting users for Ascend?
Yeah. So what we did early on is with the beta testing, it was a lot of family and friends. And then we actually contacted a couple people within our universities to get the app out into mass. So one of our professors, Professor Crystal Dixon, got it out to her entire HES class, which is health and exercise science. And essentially that class is a mandatory at Wake Forest. So every single undergraduate student has to take that class. So we got a lot of really good survey responses, as well as what they liked, what they didn't like, how we could improve.
Right.
So from there, we had some good beta testing early on. And then our strategy, right, we're really targeting, we're an app for high performance, right, to cultivate a mindful edge. So lucky for us, our network is all in athletics. Yeah. So, I played college football. Everyone on the team played college sport. So we're able to learn and grow there. So what we did is we collab on Instagram with a lot of these athletes. So they talk about what they like about the app, right? How they're using it, how it's excelling their mental performance, reducing stress, gaining a mindful edge. We collab with them on Instagram. So the Ascend Instagram account grows, their personal brand grows, and then all of their followers see it, right? Yes. So we get a couple more, and then we do one of those a week, as well as a blog, success stories, all that good stuff. But as well as university outreach and then reaching out to groups as well. Groups is a very powerful thing on LinkedIn, Facebook, and finding more ways to get on. A lot of organic growth before we really hire a marketing company. Right now, it's all organic. This is all us doing it.
Great. And having those conversations too, I imagine you've been given insights as to how to improve the app as well.
100%. 100%. Yeah, everyone's always got a suggestion for sure.
Particularly if you keep hearing the same thing, you're thinking, okay, maybe we need to address this.
That's correct. I'm guessing you want to know what that is? It's the voice. One is the voices, right? So right now we're using AI voices because that was the only way to scale early on.
Sure.
So we're going to hire voice actors and then implement those human voices into the text to speech, into the AI. So then we'll have like that Matthew McConaughey, Adam Sklar type of voice
Right.
to really enhance the experience. That's been the main thing, as well as a homepage, right? So right now, since we just have the MVP, there's really not that homepage that gives you prompts, tells you like what's going on, having a little video, right? So then people can understand like how to use the app, how it can excel their performance, all that good stuff. So those have been the two main things.
I just want to make sure I heard you right. So you started out using AI voices, and now you're going to hire human ones?
Yeah, so we're going to hire voice actors. So essentially what they're going to do is they're just going to read off words and sentences for 2-3 hours. Once we have all that, that's filed, we're going to implement that into the AI. So we'll be their voice into the AI.
Right. Yep. So it will be AI. So this is you'll hire the voice actor to basically to train the AI.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about the first paying customer you had.
First paying customer you had. I mean, it felt good. I don't know who it was because it's all through like Revenue Cat. So we can see like how many subscribers we have and who subscribed.
Okay.
But to protect their information, we don't see what their email is with the name with who subscribed, right? So, but it felt amazing. It was like a really good sense of joy, and it happened pretty quick. So yeah, I know it felt amazing. More importantly, because when Hampton and I started this out, we said we never wanted to be $1 billion company. We wanted to be a company that helped 1 billion people live happier, healthier lives. And then that's like the purpose, the why behind it. And it's when you see people using it and then telling us like, dude, like I hit it like this pregame meditation, I performed so well. I'm like, that's what gets me up in the morning, because that makes me feel amazing, because that's what I would have wanted when I was still playing college football. Yeah. So that's what keeps me going. So I hope that answers it.
And you've got that visceral in your gut connection with that person, because given your background, you know exactly where they're coming from.
Exactly. Story's powerful.
So the first customer was an individual then. You said you were selling it to other learning institutions?
Yeah. So as of right now, this has been pretty new. Okay. We started this mid-January and we're just wrapping up February, but we're in talks with a couple of universities as well as a couple of high schools, and moved on to the next steps to essentially close a deal with them where they'll pay us a bulk price for X amount of people that are using the app. Yep. And based on their emails, their school emails, when they enter that email, they'll get a free subscription to the app for all of the things. So
right. So now you're pitching to a person that could potentially have hundreds or thousands of subscribers for you.
That's correct.
Instead of one by one. What are you charging users? What is it?
The cost for the app it's $19.99. And so it's a freemium model right now. So you get 3 meditations, 3 sleep stories, and then a meditation plan, 3/4 of a meditation plan, all for free each week.
Okay.
And that resets every single week. So you can continue to use the app for free. But if you'd like that more, there's more in the meditations, right? That's +3, right? If you're doing it 2-3 times a day or multiple times, or you want more meditation plans, then it's $19.99 a month to subscribe.
So it is per month then?
Yes, correct. And then it's $199.99 a year.
Got it.
Yep.
So I trust it's not profitable yet?
That would be correct. No, not yet. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Or pretty early. Deals with these schools, though, then we will be. Yeah.
But you could see how, at least how you've laid it on paper, how it will at some point become profitable.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Laid the groundwork. Last year's been all the groundwork.
Yeah. So. Are you able to tell us your carrying costs per month?
Yeah. It's nothing crazy. $2,800.
That's it?
That's it.
Right. And the potential's huge.
I appreciate that.
Where do you see the business going in the next 1 to 2 years?
Ooh, I see it blowing up. I see it helping a lot of people live happier, healthier lives. I see a lot of athletes performing better on game day, becoming less stressful, and coaches getting a lot more happy too, because their athletes aren't getting upset with them all the time because they're able to de-stress and live a happier life. So I see it growing a lot. I see us getting into a lot of universities, getting into a lot of teams, clubs, high schools, individual subscriptions, and then once we kind of dominate that market, moving on to the professional world.
Nice. What's next for you after college? NFL dreams or growing Ascend?
Yeah, it's Ascend for me. Football days are over.
Okay.
Yeah, football was a good ride, but that's done now. But yeah, just growing Ascend. I did get into UVA for grad school, so thinking about going there as well as running Ascend at the same time, continue to grow and learn, build new relationships, add that to my network as well. Or we pull off this fundraise, just paying myself a salary and just riding with it.
Right. Huh. Is
So
there anything I haven't asked you yet that I should have, Walker?
I would say something I would tell your listeners out there is every single day, there's two things that are unseen when you wake up and you get to choose between the two, and that's faith and doubt. And it's a constant battle of which one you're going to choose. And I'm going to choose faith every single time because you know what happens if you choose the other one. So that's what I would
Yes.
say.
Yeah. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Walker?
Yeah, my Instagram is W_Ferg7. Everything Ascend related is ascendapp.ai for Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And then our website, you can just search up Ascend Meditations as well as giving us a download on the App Store. And then if you have a question for me specifically, my email is walkerferguson@ascendmeditations.app.
Awesome. We'll definitely put those links in the show notes.
Awesome.
So what's your best tip to inspire others to start or grow their side hustle dream?
I would say get started. I would say the best thing you can do is if you have a dream and it's something you truly believe in, and I would go for it, right? If it aligns with your why, your purpose, and it's something that you can continue to run and grow, I'd say go. And it depends on what you want to do, right? So if you want to have a partnership, I think it's really important to pick the right partner.
Yeah.
Pick someone with trust, loyalty, and that you can count on in hard times. And that's going to be essential. And obviously that path looks a lot different if you're an individual, but the best piece of advice I could give anybody going into business is choosing your business partner the right way. Because I've heard from a lot of people that's more important than choosing your spouse as well. So
Yeah,
make sure you choose that right.
And pick up a copy of Stephen Covey's.
There you go. It's good.
Thank you so much, Walker, for sharing all the tips that you did in terms of time management. And because all those things really help us live our best life. And sharing with us your creation of Ascend. It looks like you've got a very promising future there. I'm excited to check it out. And of course, thank you for being today's Side Hustle Hero.
I appreciate it. I love your show and I love what you do. Thank you.
So if you've been sitting on an idea thinking, I'd love to start something, but I have no clue where to begin, this episode should be proof that you don't need all the answers before you start. Walker and Hampton didn't know how to build an app, but that didn't stop them. Instead of waiting until they had all the knowledge, they took the first step, found the right people, and then figured things out as they went. And that's how every business starts. And here's the truth. Clarity comes from action, not from just thinking about it. You won't get to a perfect plan by sitting on the sidelines. The only way to figure out what works and what doesn't is to start testing, learning, and adapting. Back when I owned a self-storage facility, I was always looking for creative ways to rent more spaces. One of my buildings had a large unused section, so I came up with what I thought was a brilliant idea: summer snowmobile storage. It was a clean, dry, secure space, and I even bought a special tool to make it easy to move the snowmobiles into place for the season. I ran ads, updated our road sign, and was convinced that this would be a hit. Do you know how many people signed up for my amazing snowmobile storage deal? One. Just one. As it turned out, while there were plenty of snowmobiles in the community, most owners already had a place to store them in the off-season on their own property. But here's the thing. You've probably heard me say this before. I would rather try something and have it not work out than sit around playing that what-if game. I gave it a solid shot, and while it didn't take off the way I'd hoped, it was a valuable learning experience. And in business, every lesson, especially the ones that don't go as planned, help shape your next move. So let me leave you this challenge. What's one small step that you can take today? Maybe it's reaching out to a potential customer for insights, connecting with someone in the industry, or sketching out your first idea. Whatever it is, just take action. Because once you do, you'll realize that not knowing where to start isn't actually the problem. It's just an excuse. Don't let the confines of your comfort zone hold you back. You have deep reservoirs of talent and ability within you, just waiting to be expressed. Take that bold step. Take action. Well, that's a wrap for today. If you'd like to connect with Walker, you can write to him at walkerferguson@ascendmeditations.app, and I'll also drop a link to their website. You can find the full show notes at our website, sidehustlehero.com. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear what next step you're taking. Drop a note in the comments or shoot me an email to hello@sidehustlehero.com. And be sure to subscribe. It'll let others know that there's valuable content here to help them start or grow their side hustle. Thanks for watching, and hustle on. If you've benefited in any way from any of our episodes, it'd be so appreciated if you would take a moment and leave a review and a 5-star rating at the platform where you're listening to let others know that there's valuable content here for them to start or grow their side hustle. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear what step you're taking. Shoot me an email to hello@joanposivy.com. Send me a message or tag me on social. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and hustle on. Thanks for listening, and hustle on. So if you've been sitting on an idea thinking, I'd love to start something, but I have no clue where to begin, this episode should be proof that you don't need all the answers before you start. Walker and Hampton didn't know how to build an app, but that didn't stop them. Instead of waiting until they had all the knowledge, they took the first step, found the right people, and then figured things out as they went. And that's how every business starts. And here's the truth. Clarity comes from action, not from just thinking about it. You won't get to a perfect plan by sitting on the sidelines. The only way to figure out what works and what doesn't is to start testing, learning, and adapting. Back when I owned a self-storage facility, I was always looking for creative ways to rent more spaces. One of my buildings had a large unused section, so I came up with what I thought was a brilliant idea: summer snowmobile storage. It was a clean, dry, secure space, and I even bought a special tool to make it easy to move the snowmobiles into place for the season. I ran ads, updated our road sign, and was convinced that this would be a hit. Do you know how many people signed up for my amazing snowmobile storage deal? 1. Just 1. As it turned out, while there were plenty of snowmobiles in the community, most owners already had a place to store them in the off-season on their own property. But here's the thing. You've probably heard me say this before. I would rather try something and have it not work out than sit around playing that what-if game. I gave it a solid shot, and while it didn't take off the way I'd hoped, it was a valuable learning experience. And in business, every lesson, especially the ones that don't go as planned, help shape your next move. So let me leave you this challenge. What's one small step that you can take today? Maybe it's reaching out to a potential customer for insights, connecting with someone in the industry, or sketching out your first idea. Whatever it is, just take action. Because once you do, you'll realize that not knowing where to start isn't actually the problem. It's just an excuse. Don't let the confines of your comfort zone hold you back. You have deep reservoirs of talent and ability within you, just waiting to be expressed. Take that bold step. Take action. Well, that's a wrap for today. If you'd like to connect with Walker, you can write to him at Walker Ferguson @ascendmeditations.app, and I'll also drop a link to their website. You can find the full show notes at our website, sidehustlehero.com. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear what next step you're taking. Drop a note in the comments or shoot me an email to hello@sidehustlehero.com. And be sure to subscribe. It'll let others know that there's valuable content here to help them start or grow their side hustle. Thanks for watching, and hustle on.